Hi Vanessa, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. My name's Kaitlin and I'm your counselor. I wanted to before we get started, I wanted to talk about confidentiality between you and I. Uh Anything that is said between you and I is private. There's only a few limitations to pardon me to that confidentiality. And what that would look like would be if you told me you were going to hurt yourself or somebody else, or if you tell me about abuse, and that would be like of a child or a vulnerable adult. So if you the other thing would be I have a supervisor, so I might like if I feel like I might consult with my supervisor just to make sure that you are getting the best care as
Mm-hmm.
possible. Or the other thing that might happen is a court ordered like if the courts like request your medical records, I would have to give them up to the court, but that's something we can discuss if that were to happen. Um but for the most part, everything that is said between you and I will be just between you and I. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So this session, what it's just to kind of give you an idea of what this is going to be like. I'm going to be chatting with you about what brought you to counseling, and
Mm-hmm.
if you know you might feel really great about being in counseling, but you also might feel some like emotional discomfort, because sometimes we talk about heavy things in counseling and you might feel sad, you might feel angry, um but but you that is what to expect with counseling. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Awesome. All right. So, can you tell me about what made you want to request counseling?
Yeah. So I'm kind of just in like a transitional period right now. I'm in the middle of moving states, and it's just kind of been a lot on me, trying to say goodbye to friends and, close a chapter on a job, and then while also trying to open a chapter somewhere else. So I feel like there's still a door open here while I'm opening a door here. Just kind of a lot going on, frankly.
Yeah. Um,
So I
I
guess let me explain a little bit more. A few months ago, I lost a job that I had been with for about 5 years. I had relocated states for it. When I lost it, I was looking into potentially just like filling that job with another one to, make ends meet and be able to stay where I am. And that just kind of didn't work out the way that I wanted it to, unfortunately. So now I'm moving home to where my family lives, my parents live. So I'm moving in with my parents for a little bit just to kind of get back on my feet. Um, not sure how long that plan is for, and I think that that's also kind of stressful for me. I haven't lived with my parents for about 6 years, and so that's really scary to me. And also, just losing this piece of me that I've built, I think is also really sad. It's just, yeah, just a huge transition, and it just feels like I'm just like caught in the middle of a tornado, and I'm not really doing the thing that I want to do, which would be staying where I am. And I feel kind of like forced to have to make this choice right now when I thought, that I had a longer time with the company I was with and wouldn't have to make such a heavy choice so soon. So kind of just feel like I'm thrown in with the wolves right now.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It sounds to me like you're feeling stressed. Is that correct?
So stressed. Yeah,
Yeah.
very stressed. Hmm.
I guess my next question is where is home and where are you at now?
Yeah, so I'm currently in Tennessee, which is where I moved for my job, and my hometown is in Ohio. So that's where my family is. That's where I'm moving back to. Um, you know, it's not that Ohio is the worst place to be. I have family and I have friends, and I know that I can easily get a job and start over. I think it's just a matter of having to start over. That really stinks.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So can you tell me a little bit about your job? Like what led you to move from like the job from Ohio to Tennessee?
Hmm. Yeah. So my sister was involved in AmeriCorps, and I didn't know what that was. And I was working as a personal assistant to a CEO at the time, and I was just really unhappy with what I was doing. And my sister kind of mentioned that AmeriCorps was a great way to still be working, but also dip your toes into different things. So I applied for that, and I ended up relocating to Tennessee for that. I was with Big Brothers Big Sisters, which was where I was doing my AmeriCorps term. And my term was only supposed to last 10 months. So the original plan was that I was moving to Tennessee for 10 months and then I was moving back to Ohio. So that was the original plan. But then Big Brothers Big Sisters ended up offering me a full-time job after the 10 months was over. So I ended up staying for that full-time job, which, ended up being 5 years that I worked for them. So that's kind of where I'm at now. And like I said, about 4 months ago, I lost that job. There, we had a cut in funding, as nonprofits do, and just kind of ultimately led to me not having that job. And it was kind of like my first real job out of undergrad. So I placed a lot of value on it, and I was working with families and kind of like built relationships with the families and the kiddos and so it wasn't even just a loss of a job that really hit hard. It was the loss of all those relationships and the impact that I had there, I think. So that's what I was doing. And so now I'm like, what am I going to do? I have no idea.
Okay.
Hmm.
That must have been real like were you when you lost some of those connections, were you feeling like extra sad or were you feeling um like do you or did you feel more like the company was abandoning you? What was the feeling behind that?
Yeah, the feeling, I guess, towards the company that I had was almost like betrayal. And I think I felt that way because I had been with them for so long. And I
Mhm.
had definitely gone above and beyond for them many times throughout the years. Being in a nonprofit world, we often have to take on a lot of roles that we're not, paid for.
Mhm.
Um, and that's just the way it works, and I was totally fine with that, and I think that in the end, I felt a lot of betrayal or, like, a sense of being taken advantage of,
Mhm.
just because I was never, really thanked for those times or, especially monetarily thanked. The way that I always kinda saw it was if I'm taking on additional work because you can't hire someone, then there should be some sort of I don't know the right word, like a payback for me almost, like a thank you for taking on all this extra work. But it never felt that way. It was always just like well, that's what you're required to do. And as I looked around, there were a lot of times where it was just me being asked to take on that extra work and everyone else kind of just got to do what their role described and that was it. So yeah, I think betrayal is a good word. Disappointed would be a really good word. I'm disappointed. that it didn't work out. But honestly, when I do think about it, I'm in a tornado of emotions. But sometimes when I think about it and just trying to stay positive, I think like, okay, well, maybe it's a good thing because now I am not being taken advantage of, and I don't have to feel that sense of like, I don't think anger is the right word, but like the sense of like, I know you're taking advantage of me and it really stinks. So I'm just hoping that the next job that I get isn't that way, or, maybe a lesson I can take away from that is like, hey, now I know what it looks like to be taken advantage of, and I don't want to do that anymore moving forward. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, can you tell me about what opportunities are coming up for you in Ohio?
Mhm. Ooh, that I don't think I have the answer to. I since I lost that job, I started back to school. I'm in grad school now, and I kind of thought maybe it would be better if I didn't just jump right into another full-time job and I just kind of let myself focus on school. Like I mentioned, I'll be living with my parents, so I won't have to really worry about a lot of that monetary stuff that I was before, like rent and all the other things. So I can really just kind of focus on school and getting myself back into a place where I do want to actually work somewhere. I think I feel very jaded right now towards nonprofits and big companies and things. And um so a piece that really that I am taking away, just trying to keep that positive spin on it, is once I finish school, and potentially get my license to practice counseling, then that is what I want to do when I grow up. And maybe right now is just the interim in between of coming from a job into the next thing that I want to do. And while it does really stink, I think it might be a really good thing for me to just kind of take a beat. So the only thing I'm really looking towards doing, I think, is just getting like a service industry job and, serving or bartending my way back through school. Cause that's what I did during my undergrad. And it really worked for me. The flexibility and the hours and everything was really good for me. So I think maybe just kind of starting from the bottom is maybe where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have a really good hold on what works for you and
Mm.
that you know that what will work for you right now, and that's really awesome that you know that.
Yeah, I definitely think it took a long time to get to that feeling. Um, I think this like that sense of loss when it initially happened was very overwhelming, and I think I have a tendency to kind of shut down when change happens or when things get hard, which I've kind
Mhm.
of recognized about myself, especially since this huge transition is happening. So what I've been really trying to work on is just understanding that life happens and life isn't easy for anyone. And I'm not a victim. So I'm going to keep pushing forward and see what happens. But yeah, I think that, yeah, like I said, change is just really hard for me. And it's always been very hard for me. I like things to be on a schedule. I like things to look the same every day. So since I've lost that job, I've only been so this is a lot, but I've always worked two jobs. I've, maintained a full-time job with the nonprofit, and then I've always, served or bartended on the side. I like being busy. I think that when I have idle hands, and make mistakes and things happen. So it's always better for me if I'm just busy. So right now, I've only been working the one part-time job. So I work 3 days a week. And then the other 4 days I'm just hanging out, which has been very hard on me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So, is there anything that you're doing to like other than school that
Hmm.
kind of you're using to help fill up that time?
Honestly, no. And I think that's a big part of the issue is I'm kind of just letting that time be. So I think I've kind of landed myself in a pit of depression, and I have found myself sleeping a lot more than I normally would.
Mm.
For example, the last 2 days I have slept. Oh my goodness! I last night I think I slept about 20 hours, and so it's just a lot of sleep going on over here, which is really also impacting me because it's my last week in Tennessee and I know that I want to be out doing things and, saying goodbye to my friends. And I just really cannot find it within me to get out of bed.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Do you do anything for self-care? Do you do anything, are you able to do anything for yourself?
No.
No?
Well, I'm sure that I could, but
Mm.
it's the lack of motivation.
Okay.
And yeah, since I've had all this free time, I in the beginning I told myself, you've never taken a break. You've always worked two jobs. Just take this
Mhm.
time to relax. And so that's how it was in the beginning, and that was fine. But now we're like coming to the end, and I'm about to actually move, and I have now found myself just like stuck in a rut. And yesterday I was supposed to have dinner with some friends as like a farewell, and I couldn't even leave my apartment. I don't know what it was. I was very anxious, and I think part of it was like that I was recognizing that it truly was coming to an end. And if I went to the dinner, then it's really happening.
Yeah.
And now I feel more disappointed that I didn't do it because now I
Mhm.
don't think there's another chance. So yeah.
Oh, are you just so are you feeling sad then? Am I guessing? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm feeling very sad that a chapter is closing. Um, and what I think really just sad, disappointed, anxious, like I'm nervous for my new start.
Mm.
Um, yeah. I'm in the middle of a lot of emotions right now. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to pinpoint them all, and it's really challenging because there's so many. And I'm stuck in the middle of so many.
Now, so thinking about like when you come back to Ohio, do you have any of like a support system? Do your parents, obviously they're supporting you with a place to live, but
Mhm.
like emotionally, are they
Yeah.
emotionally there for you?
Yeah, my parents, so my dad and my stepmom are who I refer to as parents.
Mhm.
They've been the ones that have raised me my whole life. And my mom is in the picture. And I would say that my mom has actually been more emotionally there for me than I ever thought that she would have been during this time, which has been super surprising. My dad and my stepmom, they're not really emotional people. My dad has never really been a hugger my whole life. He doesn't really talk about emotions, so it's not really his thing. My stepmom and I are just not very close, so I don't think we have that kind of relationship where I can just say, "Hey, I'm really sad and this is really impacting me." But I would say my mom has really been really good for me. And she also lives in Ohio and in my town. So I'll get to see her, which is really nice.
Mhm.
I have friends who are still there who I've been friends with through the whole transition, which has been really nice. So I know that they'll be there for me when I'm home. I do know that I am going home to a lot. So it's not really a sense of like, I'm nervous that if I go home, I'll have nobody. It's really just that sense of like, almost like failure. Like, I moved away and I had this great opportunity and I was really doing it. And now I have to close the chapter and come home. And that just feels like shameful in a way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It has to be a really difficult transition for you.
Yeah, it is. It is. But like I said, I'm trying to stay a little more positive and,
Mhm.
just think that, I'm still pretty young. So if I go home and, in 3 years I decide that I want to come back, I can still do that.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to think of like all of the good things about it instead of just focusing on like oh, this is really sad and this really stinks. But
Mhm.
yeah, and like I said, like in the beginning when I first moved here, the plan was always to move home. It was just a matter of a timeline, and now
Mhm.
I'm on that timeline, and that's just gonna have to be okay.
Okay. Do you have any like friends like from your hometown you can reconnect with?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, my best friend, gosh, we've been best friends for years, but she actually still lives in Ohio. So
Mhm.
that'll be really exciting to reconnect with her. We still get to visit each other every so often, but she has family stuff going on, and it's hard for her to travel. And when I was working my full time job, it was hard for me to take time off, and so it's going to be very exciting to actually be able to spend time with her and reconnect in that way. I have another friend that we've maintained friendship throughout the years as well. So we've already kind of got plans to grab dinner when I get back. And so I definitely still have friends and a family and all the things there. So I actually am looking forward to that. I think that's probably what I'm most excited for. I think the scary part is just what am I going to do?
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah, it'll be okay because I'm going to keep seeing you in my sessions. And honestly, maybe that's all I needed was just somebody to vent at for a little while.
Yeah. All right. So, we're gonna start wrapping up here, our
Okay.
session. So, thank you for sharing with me. Would you like to schedule another appointment?
Oh, yes.
Wonderful. And what would you like to, what would you like to talk about at our next appointment?
Ooh, so I reckon our next appointment will be after I move.
Mhm.
So probably just still talking about the transition and what my plans are in terms of, regaining employment and how it feels to be living back with my parents again. I think will probably be the focus of next session.
Okay. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much for sharing with me. I really enjoyed our session today and yeah, we'll schedule that next appointment, okay?
Great. Thank you so much, Caitlin. I'll look forward to seeing you again.
All right. Thank you, Vanessa. Bye-bye.
Bye.